Well, hi there, racing fans, and welcome to another edition of Winning Ways. And as you'll notice when you watch the show, 10 o'clock is our new time slot. There's a lot of racing before then. We weren't able to fit the show in between the races, so we're going to be 10 o'clock starters in the evening. You can always watch it on the YouTube channel, www.goldcircle.co.za. Go to YouTube, you can get the show from Monday afternoon, and go and watch it, and uninterrupted it will be there. But we're uninterrupted tonight, so Kev, nice to have you with me.
Thanks, James. Good to be back in town. A little bit of a chilly morning this morning.
Yeah, well, the first thing that happened was that we started with the Super Rugby last 8 to play. Sharks sneaked in by the snid. And the funny thing is, I think they play the Waratahs.
They play the Waratahs at the Waratahs.
They'll beat them.
Oh, gosh, I love to
I
hear
mean,
that.
they will beat them. They're just too strong for the Waratahs. The Waratahs are pansies.
It's the travelling that worries me a little bit. These boys
travelling. Get on that plane. They sleep in those luxury sleepers. It's not like in the old days when you and I used to travel.
Catch by train.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, listen, it's interesting now. The Crusaders still look firm favourites.
Well, they got a problem, the Crusaders. I think the first game they got to play, was it the Hurricanes? No, they got to play. So they got to play as a team that's going to give them a wake up. Anyway, it looked like it was quite fun. The Lions were rubbish on the weekend. I mean, geez, yeah, they're bad.
Yeah, they've gone a little bit off, I must say.
Oh, the Crusaders got to play the Stormers. I think.
The Stormers, they'll mow the Stormers down. Sharks beat the Stormers, and we drew with the Crusaders. We're just going on form lines. So form lines, it's
Did you check Mark Marquez?
He's my boy. Well, he's a machine, isn't he?
Right.
And he looks like he's 18 years old.
Yeah.
And his brother is in the Motor 2.
The 3.
Motor 3,
yeah.
and he's no slouch either.
Yeah,
so Mark better watch out. His job might be on the line a bit.
He's good.
Yeah, they're both of them.
And the Binder boys, they there as well.
He's about, I think next year he's definitely going to go up to the big league. No, there's some promising, as we say, the South African sportsman. Doesn't matter where it is, if it's football, racing, or even
golf. Louis Woolstead, as usual, showed his usual Badeless form.
I don't know, he looks like he's on a Sunday afternoon picnic. He pulls the iron out, stands there and just smacks it down the middle. How boring.
Is caddy Herman,
I saw he was there. He was there telling a good shot, Greg. Yeah. Greg was actually...
he was motivate the boy a bit.
3 weeks ago, I went to the Northwood Hilton game.
Yeah.
It was a Saturday afternoon, and there was Greg. I said, Greg, what are you doing? He said, no, he had the weekend off. He said, but I'm off to Pebble Beach later. I said, you lucky fish.
Carry the bag around.
Yeah, carry the bag around. I'd like to carry the bag around.
I think Louis' problem is that he's thinking of driving his tractor at home. That's
and he's too comfortable, these guys.
He can play that boy, but he's, as you say, comfortable. Well, there are a couple of other people we're going to be talking about who are comfortable. The one who's most comfortable this morning is Gary Woodland. Did you watch
Didn't watch the end, but you're long overdue, James, but when you win at Pebble Beach, you know you can play the game because that golf course is not about just hitting a ball. It's where you hit the ball and how you hit the ball.
Yeah.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I wanted to see one of the days when the wind blows at 40 k's an hour. Then it becomes, I mean, they say the par 3 goes from a lob wedge.
Yeah.
You can be hitting 5-iron in there, and it's 120 yards.
It's anything from 98 yards to 120 yards.
You go from a lob wedge to a 5-iron.
Yeah.
I wanted to see the 5-iron.
And a low, boring 5-iron, otherwise you don't get it there. You and I'll be hitting
otherwise we'll end up where all the dogs are playing on the beach.
Yeah, exactly.
The most dog-friendly city in the world, Pebble Beach. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Everywhere. They've got dog parlors, they feed the dogs, you can take them into restaurants, hotels. You saw them on the beach.
Your element there. Why didn't you move
I was
there?
loving it. Every time they went on the beach, it looked like there were seals coming out the ocean, but those are the people, the dogs. Oh. And they said it's the most dog-friendly city in the world.
Well, we've got some fun coming up. We're going to be showing a few interviews with Royal Ascot, and you had a ride there, didn't you? A ride or two?
Yeah, I started favourite in the King's Stand on JJ, the jet plane.
JJ, yeah.
And I had good fun riding the Gold Cup when Yates won his 3rd out of the 4.
Yeah.
We rode Thundering Star for Mark de Kock.
Yeah.
I was off the bit up the hill. I nearly was looking for oxygen at the
Swinley Bottom, he never got there.
Swinley Bottom. When I got to Swinley Bottom, I knew I was only virtually...
Your bottom was up.
It was a nightmare. I was off the bit there for 5 Ks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
well,
my legs got tested.
It's going to be a hell of a race. We'll talk about it later. We've got all those, we've got a couple of inserts. We've got Donica O'Brien and Joseph looking for, Donica's looking for his couple's winner, and Joseph looking for his first winner. And then we've got an interview with Mark Johnston talking about his horses, and he's got a couple of very interesting horses. But let's go into the 3 to follow and see what we got there. Right, let's go to Scottsville, and we pick up a 1,000-meter first race at Scottsville on Wednesday. Point of Sale. This should never have lost. She missed the break, and she looks like she's pretty useful. Let's go and pick her up at the start, Kev.
Yeah, it's in the Drakenstein colours. Mrs. Gaynor Rupert's colours. Fell out the gates a little bit, got a little bit of a nudge there. And above VAR, James, I thought maybe they have a little bit more speed, but you'll see Point of Sale actually just falls out of the race here now. You'll see after about a furlong and a half, second last, off the bit. And as you'll see coming through the junction, all over the show. Legs, I know the going was a little bit chopped up that day, but there's Warren giving a little couple of scrubs. Best thing for a first timer, get it in the clear. But you'll see it now, James. If you just watch the action now, changes its legs, moving out, gives a little smack in the left, in it goes, green as the grass it's running on. Warren changes his stick again, gives it a little smack, not a little hard. All over the show, you can see the action there, changes legs again. Eventually now at the death, the penny drops. Not under a very vigorous ride, but running on very strongly. And James, for a VAR, I think next time even have a 6 furlongs around the corner. I think wherever Glenn puts this one, I'm sure Warren will keep the ride and look a very, very hard one to beat.
Yeah, it's out of a Casey Tibbs mare. She was very fast, cash register herself, so there's a lot of speed. And Tony Giorgio, I see, owns a share with the Drakenstein bunch. This didn't have a barrier trial. Now, one wonders if it had had a barrier trial, if it might not have known a little more about what was going on. Obviously, they got exemption for it not running in, but I can't understand that. To me, if they're good enough to run in a race, sound enough to run a race, they're sound enough to have a barrier trial and run it in 60
There are a couple of reasons why they don't barrier trial them. I have queried it as well, and you always get a story about it, but it might have arrived late, it might have come from Cape Town. I'm not 100% sure, but over 6 furlongs next time. Good one. One to follow.
Right, we're going to go to Vaal on Thursday, 1,000 meters, and this is quick. This time was very, very quick for a juvenile. Mike de Kock stepped out the first time. Anton Marcus flew to Joburg to ride it. And bred by the Wicklow stud, that's the Price Boys, and by Philanthropist out of Cahal Mare. Phew, this won a good race. Let's go and pick him up at the start. Quick quit.
Right, there it is, drawn 11. Owners, Johnny Gerudis, Matthew de Kock, Mark de Kock, and the Sham family. And not often you get a Mark de Kock horse that comes out of the gates in a 5 furlong and just shoots off like this. But James, out and off like a dirty shirt. Yeah. Anton Marcus, he loves him when they got a little bit of pace. It's just behind them now too, and you'll see Anton gives it a little bit of a shake-up, and you can see now. Lovely actioned filly. And yeah, in the clear, nice firm going. Got a couple of lengths of makeup now, and boom, does this penny drop and drop very quickly now. Lovely mover, and Yari comes on the outside. All in the clear. Anton, he doesn't waste any time. Anton gets into them. He's not cutting it in half. Gives it a couple of little taps down the hind quarter. Now, the penny drops. Boom. Horse goes with it on the inside for a while, but Anton's got his measure, and well done to all of them, all concerned. Just for the records, James, I think Mark used to train a filly called Quick Wit before. He's kept this name again.
Quick Wit was trained by Michael Schullerman, I think when Robert Bloomberg owned the horse.
That's
And
right.
it came from Cape Town, went to Joburg, and I think it won the November handicap.
Won a big race.
Yeah, won the November
Quick
handicap.
Wit.
I'm sure that's the right horse, Quick Wit, yeah.
Definitely the name is right, but that's it. But well done to all of them concerned. A good win, I thought.
Yeah.
And lovely to see Johnny Gerudis, all the Sham families, Matthew, Mark, and Matthew's got a share, all of them. 80,000 rand purchase. Virtually just about got their money back, plus.
Sneak that one under the radar and got their money back.
They could have given us a 10% share. But
the rich get richer, Kev, as you know.
I wouldn't know that, but I've heard it.
You heard that, okay.
I heard it.
Well, let's go and see one of the nicest horses that ran over the weekend, and this was Friday night, and they went 1,400. This horse had a barrier trial. Looked like a very nice horse in his barrier trial, but I thought he was a bit unlucky here, although the winner won very easily, and if you'd watched the winner's race the time before, you would have picked up that it was the right horse in the race. But this horse, I think, will go on Captain Eliodor. Let's go and pick him up at the start. He's by Captain L out of Eliodor Mare. Expensive horse bred by the Engelbrechts. Fred Krabbier owns him. Let's go and pick him up with Keegan de Mello aboard him.
Yeah, like you say, James, he is a fantastic looking horse. There's a lot of him. He comes out a little bit sluggish, but he's a monster of an animal, and he just barges his way back into the system. And Keegan's one off the fence there. He's a little bit heady, but he's pulling him back to get a nice spot. And I personally would have stayed the one off the fence, and I think you agree with me as well. But you'll see after about a furlong and a half, he actually just drops a bit, this horse. I think he's all at sea. He's a lovely animal. There he goes from one off the fence. So the winner actually pushes him off the fence. So he's 3 wide. The eventual winner is now one off the fence. Sean's going to get himself in a nice spot. But he's in the clear and he's travelling sort of all right. But he's a lovely animal, James. And I really think, I don't think Dean left him underdone. I just think racing will just do him the world of good now. But to be 3 wide out there in a 1400 all the way, actually even 4 wide. Now there he is right on the outside in the Fred Krabbier silks, and you can just see he's got the most magnificent action. And at one stage he still looked like he's going to win, and he's going to win going away. But my personal opinion is he runs out of puff at the end. But look at this action, and he moves up them. Sean's got there a little bit. You must understand Sean's had a run as well. So he's got the measure of him. Yeah, he's got his measure of the second horse now, but just runs out of puff there. Keegan doesn't hurt him, but definitely also he gets caught, snapped on the line for second. He runs third, but wow, I think this horse could end up in the big races.
He's a magnificent looking horse, and there was no shortage of support for him. His barrier trial was pretty good, but he wasn't given the problems he was given in this race. And once he got sort of pushed out, just looked like he lost it. Then he moved up to them, but he had done too much. He probably needed the run.
Yeah, you follow this horse and you follow him. I'm sure he'll be in the feature races soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go and see where they are now.
Where are they now? This
Picture, no sound.
Oh, where are they now? He's had a little bit of a rough time left, not striding out. The vet had a look at him about 2 weeks ago, and he was touch and go to get put down.
Yeah. Well, you know, he had that big trip overseas, all that disappointment of
Spurs went 1-0 down in 1 minute. That's enough to give anybody a
fibrillation
of the heart. Yeah. So
yeah. Anyway, the good news is we were a bit worried during the week. Laf, not well, had a heart rate of 160. He should get his horse's heart rates up to 160, then he'd be doing okay. But apparently all okay. Glenn Jonas gave him some advice. There are a lot of people giving advice to Laf.
Yeah.
And we look forward to seeing him back as sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
All the best, Laf. We now know where you are. You're at least out of the hospital. And
is he out?
Yeah. Well, I think he's on his way out.
I spoke to Laf when I think the second day, but then afterwards I phoned him 3 or 4 times, didn't answer. So maybe he's on the.
No, they did all the tests on him, and apparently it is fixable. He's got, and it's probably from all the chemo.
Is it the heart muscle? Isn't it?
Fibrillation of the heart muscles, and it just goes into the spasm where it just.
Yeah, it could have been all that
beats,
nonsense
and,
they put
and
into
he felt terrible last week. I was told he couldn't come in, and I gave you the early call. And we ended up getting Harry because you were cruising in the Berg. You're not allowed to do that on a Monday morning.
I'm going again today.
Anyway, all the best and a very quick recovery to our mate, and I hope that he's back on the show pretty soon, sooner rather than later. We can't afford to keep paying Kevin these fees. Let's go and see the plum of the week.
First one to challenge. It's a Pleasure now starts to lengthen her stride, and then comes Belle of Paris as they come down to the 300. And It's a Pleasure has now hit the opposition and has gone clear. And It's a Pleasure won't get caught. It's a Pleasure coming home lonely. Ryder can ease up. They won it by 4-5. Second position gets close. Second position will probably go to Disney Princess. Belle of Paris, maybe Excessive Grace further back.
Well, this filly, you could end up getting 2-1 about this filly. She was the certainty of the weekend. Bred by the Royden Turners, just as well filly out of a Fastnet Rock mare. There were question marks about the draw. There were question marks about Chesney Funzel, who's been out of form for a long, long time now.
Yeah, he's battled a bit with the virus, but he's been very transparent about it.
But this horse looked like the right one.
I got to give full credit to Warren Kennedy. I know I got a bit of flack for it when I walked in the jockey room. I thought I was favouring Warren, but he was 5 wide after a furlong. Okay, he drew badly. In 3 strides, he had the horse one off the fence, one back. He gave it. He found his opportunity. He got it in there, and once the horse was there, it was a matter of how far. If that horse had run 3 or 4 wide, they could have maybe got run second, a little bit unlucky, and they would have said, yeah, but Chesney's not in form, and the draw came into effect. It could have been a lot of things, but full credit to Warren, full credit to Chesney. He's had another winner since then again in the same colours. Yeah. The Irish Flame won yesterday, and the same colours that Irish Flame used to use as well. That's Larry Nestat and all the guys. So, well done to Chesney, and just keep an eye on his horses. He's no mug, Chesney, but he's had to sit out this 3 or 4 months. It's heartache for a trainer, James. You know.
Tough. Well, he was in Joburg and then moved down here, and things never seemed to improve.
He said the horse has got a virus. What can I do? And then what can you do?
He's got great family support. They all support each other. Chesney, Gareth, Gavin.
They've done very well, and I've taken my hat off to the Funzel family as trainers. They've really come onto the scene, and they've done well, all of them, and they're absolutely a pleasure to talk to as well and approach about anything.
Very
approachable. Yeah. Gavin, I got a problem. What about this horse? Boom, he'll tell you exactly what. Tony Ribbleman's another one. Most of the guys are very, very transparent, and it just makes our job a little bit easier.
Yeah. Well, I see Joe Soma the other day said that we should, all the trainers, and I keep thinking I'm a trainer, but I'm not. We should be more transparent and tell people more about what's going on, and I agree with that 100%. The business is about people telling other people what to do and how to do it, and how to do it to the best of their ability. Everyone wants to back winners. Doesn't matter what price they are. That doesn't make any difference.
No, it makes no difference.
You want to back a winner because then you're going to bring the money back and put it back in.
100%.
Anyway, well done to Larry and the team, and 2-1 Interbet. 2-1 about this filly. It's run second in a barrier trial, and second in a very, very strong race. Cracking good race. Going the
one
right
to follow. James stays like a poor relative.
Yeah. You certainly go on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, that's the plum of the week, and we're going to have current affairs, and we don't have any breaks anymore. We're going straight through with the show. You get it all in one hit.
Best race time odds, transparency of betting markets, friendly and super efficient staff, the ability to negotiate odds, a full service tote with no limits, which is very important for exotic players, loyalty program, speedy withdrawal of funds, full odds multiple betting, and excellent in-play markets. These are just some of the many reasons that come to mind as to why I believe, as a serious punter, There is no online operator in South Africa that can realistically come close to matching what Interbet has to offer. Put simply, there's no other site like it, and the ability to negotiate odds adds to my fun and enjoyment. Interbet, where the professionals bet.
Well, there you go. I've just had the results from Magic Billions and all the sales in Australia. Rowena sent them to me, and they're very interesting reading. South Africa has declined over the years in purchasing in Australia, and it's because of the lack of money here and the rand. There's a weakness of the rand. And
Mark de Kock hit the nail on the head last year. We were buying at 10 to 1. Now they can buy here if they're open at 10 to 1 in their favour.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? You're buying a horse for, say, 5 million rand, it's $500,000.
Yeah.
They're $500,000, they're spitting them out like strawberries.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting. I'm just hoping it just all goes ahead. And with that interview last week, I went on social media. It was absolutely brilliant to watch and listen to Mark on 3 aspects that are so important in racing. Number one, he's closed his shop down in Dubai, the horse exports, and the July, etc. and so forth. It was lovely to watch.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Font of knowledge.
Yeah. Great guy to interview. I mean, it's an absolute pleasure. And he's also willing to come on the show.
It's transparent. You can ask him about his horses as well. Anywhere and anywhere.
Any horse, anywhere, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Right, well, we're going to have a look at the only feature that we had in South Africa, which was the post-merchants on Friday night. And Casimir was the favourite, and apparently I was told that he wasn't allowed to gallop here at Greybull. And there were no races. The horse is 117 merit rating.
Yeah,
Where's he going to run? You know, so you'd expect him to be able to come and have a gallop at Greybull. You know?
At least Johnston was transparent. He said, "I'm short of a run, guys. Yeah. If I run in the first 3, I'll be over the moon." And we were watching the tote, and it was bouncing favourite, off favourite, off favourite. Great run, ran fourth. I mean, you can stand.
But it looked green rusty, didn't it?
Absolutely.
If you look at the rate, if you'd had a gallop at Greybull, he might have ended up winning. And that's good for the punters. You want the punters to be able to have a chance of winning.
Well, tell the punters out there right now, the Mercury Sprint is around the corner, and this horse will start favourite. The Mercury said, whatever beats Casimir in the Mercury Sprint will win.
Yeah,
make a
but
statement
I don't think
right
anything
now.
will beat Casimir.
I can't.
At level weights, how can they beat him?
Impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible.
Yeah. This was a handicap. Let's go and pick him up at the start. It was a triumph for the mowing team, Waishong and Waiho. Waiho brought this filly down here. He picked his spot. Marco van Rensburg, I thought, ran a cracking race, but it does show the value of the draw. Let's go and pick him up at the 800.
On the outside of runners. Then on that boulevard, Quinlan, they're followed by Sand and Sea. That's got about 9 or 10 to go. Then comes Sunset Eyes and Search Party. Homeward bound in Post Merchants, and Bold Respect brings him in. At the rail is La Bellamia, Tribal Fusion and Green Plains. Down the inside, Sniper Shot, then Riverine. Down the inside, Vane Calder. Coming to the 300, Bold Respect leads it. Down the inside, La Bellamia, Riverine tries to run on Sniper Shot. Green Plains is on the outside. Down the inside, Vane Calder. Tribal Fusion on the outside. La Bellamia, Bold Respect tries to fight on Vane Calder. Casimir's trying to get into the race, but La Bellamia won it. Vane Calder second. Casimir's involved with Bold Respect.
Well, they give me the green light. Bred by Naddison, owned by Waishong for Waiho. I mean,
W Moying.
Yeah,
Wesley,
great.
we should have had Wesley Moying on it, so it would have been.
Then it would have
the
been
three
all
Ws.
over. Yeah. Anyway, Marco rode it, and
Good ride, James.
He's a good rider, Marco van Rensburg.
Drawn 3, sat in the box seat,
Yeah.
behind Bold Respect. What a beautiful horse to pull you into the straight.
Yeah.
And like you said, the draws played a big part in this race.
Nine
Van Kelder, great run,
Yeah,
Tony.
9.5 kilos got from the favourite.
No, it's the big weight. That's what I'm saying. Level weights in the Mercury Sprint.
Yeah.
Come on, let's have a...
1,200 metres here.
Perfect.
You can go. That will be the right one. Right, well, nothing better than Royal Ascot. So just to give you a little taste of Royal Ascot, we've got a little interview with the two O'Brien boys. It's a great interview to watch this. Donica and Joseph O'Brien talking about Royal Ascot, and there's some lovely footage. And I just thought, well, Royal Ascot week around the corner. We'll be back with your call, where we'll talk more about Royal Ascot.
The O'Brien family have had a long and successful association with Royal Ascot. Aidan has saddled 65 Royal Ascot winners, and in recent times his sons Joseph and Donica have been stepping up to the plate. This year, Joseph looks to saddle his first winner as a trainer, and Donica looks to ride his first Royal Ascot winner. Joseph, what's your earliest memory of Royal Ascot?
Royal Ascot was always somewhere that was really, really difficult to compete in, and there was no point going there unless you had the real deal. I can distinctly remember the old parade ring. I remember seeing one day when I was very small. My mum pointed out the Queen Mother to me. She was there. So I just always remember the magnitude of the occasion.
Very early, I remember trying to get as small a top hat as possible to fit me and things like that, so I presume I was fairly small when I first went. I remember the last maybe one or two of Yates's Gold Cups, and things like that. Not in too much detail, but yeah, I suppose around then is when I started to cop on.
And what about then, the first time that you went as a jockey? Was that very different?
It was. I rode there in my first year riding. I was only riding a couple of months. I rode a horse in a handicap, and I gave him the most horrific ride. I was after winning on him a couple of weeks previously, and missed the break. Passed out half the field out of Swinley Bottom, and ultimately finished nowhere. So it was a steep learning curve.
So when you came back in that day and like watching the replay, is it like watching it through your fingers almost because you don't want to see it?
I don't think I've ever watched the replay.
What about your record at Royal Ascot?
Yeah, it's really horrendous. I was, I don't know, I think about 5 or 6 seconds. I was beating a short head in the Queen Mary last year.
50 yards to go, and the white jacket, Senora Caballo, Gossamer Wings in the blue and orange, they hit the line together.
It's not great, but hopefully we'll get a winner on the board this year.
Well, we've already seen Joseph, and he said that his wasn't great either to start with.
Yeah, well, I'd say he probably has more time. He had more time than I'll have left, but we'll take one winner.
How many goals did it take before you broke your duck?
I don't know. I'd imagine a good few. I'm not sure what my first winner there was.
I think it was So You Think, was it?
So You Think, it could have been, yeah, the Prince of Wales, yeah.
So nice race to break your duck.
Yeah, and it was a high enough pressure ride too. Obviously he was a high class horse with a huge following all over the world. He was really well fancied. So yeah, it would have been him.
So You Think with a narrow advantage. So You Think by a neck from Carlton House. They remain clear, and it's So You Think driven out towards the line, who's 2 to 3 lengths clear and will take his prize money through the £5 million barrier. So You Think, a world star, won the Prince of Wales's.
And what about when you go, like when you're going there to ride a horse like him, like you're expected to deliver the goods. What does that feel like walking in?
I feel that's the best feeling in the world. That's why any jockey, like I say, gets up and goes to all them meetings every week, day in, day out, evening meetings. You want to be in the highest pressure ride in the biggest race.
The following year, you had a really good year, didn't you?
Yeah, that was a great week. Declaration of War was a big one. He was a very good horse, and he was well fancied, and obviously the first race of the week. It's always nice to start the week well, and to get a winner on the board. The first race was always a big one.
Declaration of War coming very strongly in the closing stages. Declaration of War has taken it up and wins the Queen out.
You actually ride out in the morning and then fly over and then do it all every single day, back and forward.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, sometimes I do that. Sometimes last year now I did stay over a few times because it helped with my weight and things like that. But you know, look, there's horses at home that have to be ridden out, they have to be worked, and if we have to be there, we have to be there.
What's the process after a big win like that? What's the plane journey like back home? It must be quite satisfying to know you've delivered the goods.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely. But at the same time, I mean, that's Tuesday out of the way, and we have to get the homework done and everything ready for tomorrow, because, I mean, you could very easily, and you usually end up going home with your tail between your legs the next day. And as you know, making this game, people's memories are very short, and if you can be the hero on the Tuesday, and you can be the villain on the Wednesday.
Inside the final 150 yards, near side Torhit, the centre, Monty Ridge and Gale Force 10, who's fighting back and has got back up to win the Jersey.
And what about your mum and dad? How are they on the build-up to Royal Ascot Week? Are they quite tense around here?
It's always a little bit tense when there's big racing involved, and more so big high-profile horses involved. But look, they're used to it at this stage, so you know, we understand it's horse racing. There's going to be disappointments, and you know, that's what makes the victories all the more worthwhile.
What was your best ride at Royal Ascot?
Oh God, I probably when I won the Gold Cup on Leading Light, he wasn't an easy ride, and he just won. It was a rough race, and I used to enjoy riding the horse, but he was a challenge, and he was a really good horse.
They come to the last furlong. Estimate leading light. Brown Panther with them. Miss United is next. Four in with a chance. They drive towards the line. Leading light down the centre is in front. Estimate is trying to fight back, and it was a race towards the line. Leading light there is one.
And what about one that you'd rather not watch again? Or one that you'd rather have another go at?
Oh God, how long do we have? I don't know. I suppose I probably made loads of mistakes there, but I always almost immediately try to forget about them and learn from them. I'm sure there's plenty of them there.
What's it like when you get beat on one, the plane journey home? Quiet?
I always tried to be good at moving on. Just
yeah. It's the way you've got to be, though.
Come in, apologise, and it won't happen again. You do your best, and you ride to the best of your ability. You have your homework done and ride the horse as you see fit, and then next, you know, win, lose or draw. What would it mean to you to bag that elusive Royal Ascot win?
Yeah, it'd be massive. It's you know, Royal Ascot's probably, it's definitely probably my favourite meeting in the whole calendar. It's the whole occasion. I love it. The fast ground, fast horses. You know, usually great weather. It's real proper flat racing, and it'd be fantastic to get a winner there. Probably Latrobe is going to go there with a good chance. Buckhurst is a 3-year-old that'll go there probably with a good chance. He still has an option of an Irish Derby, so we'll speak with Lloyd and Nick and we'll make that decision late. I have a couple of 2-year-olds, probably one called Air Force Jet is a horse that will go to one of the 2-year-old races with a chance. And then I have bits and pieces in handicaps, so you need to fire plenty of bullets and
hopefully one of them missed
hopefully one of them missed the target. Yeah, exactly.
What would it mean to you to have a Royal Ascot winner?
Yeah, it'd be huge. I haven't had a huge amount of runners there. I've had a couple of horses run okay, and I mean it'd be huge to have a Royal Ascot winner. Please God, we will eventually, and it'd be really nice to do it this year. We have some live chances, but it won't be easy.
Well, we continue with our Royal Ascot coverage because it starts tomorrow. Tuesday is the first day of the 5-day meeting. And obviously, there's Group 1s every single day. It's just a fabulous meeting, Kev. And you've ridden there, so just for you to sit there and watch it, you can tell us about the experience, the jockey room. How is the place?
No, it's absolutely amazing. You know,
do you have to wear your topper to go there?
I didn't. I mean, Frankie and Kieran Fallon, they do it. It's a tradition. Frankie does it every day. Yeah. Wears his top hat and tail. But I didn't go that far. I was very young. Well, let's say young. I was very naive about the whole setup and that. But just walking into the races and the crowds and the people, and it's just amazing. And as you know, as you get on, you get to Ladies' Day. And just to see the fashions and it's just an amazing 5 days. And the Oompa band after races, everybody goes downstairs and the Oompa band plays and they start off with the national anthem and packed. The guys have got their champagne flowing. They've had a good day's racing. They don't kill it. It's only 7 races. No. They don't kill it. Yeah. And it's
well, everyone has lunch first, you know.
Oh,
and then
lunch!
So start at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
It's they wait for the Queen to arrive.
The Queen arrives in the carriages with
comes
her
around
guests,
and you know what, James? Even the jocks, everybody sits and watches it. Yeah. And if you, which I did, is right where you walk out the jockey room. That's where she walks in and then goes up to her box. So if you want to ever see the Queen, which I wanted to see the Queen, and Lady Di was still alive in those days, and. I was there waiting, and I got my camera out and walk all past you, all the royalty all walk past you, and you like can't believe it. Like that's the actual Queen. No, it's brilliant. It's the most amazing. That's just behind the scenes. The riding, as you say. I mean, you can listen to the O'Briens. I mean, Joseph and these guys. You can feel it. It's in your heart. Your heart is pounding because you want to win. We had JJ the jet plane in the sprint, and we thought he was a big runner, and. Yeah, it's amazing. Just the racing is it's tough racing. It's hard racing. The hard knockers, the going there. They can say the going there is good. Meanwhile, the ground cover's about this high.
Yes, that's the problem.
We walk.
It makes it very, very heavy.
You don't even want to know how heavy. It's like heavy sand, but it's turf. Yeah. And when you walk the course, you go up and walk the course. You only have to walk. We don't do the O'Briens walk the Gold Cup distance. Yeah. Just walk up a furlong or 2 and walk back and just side to side just to see the ground cover and it. No, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's so professionally run and there's no hitches.
All right. Well,
I can't wait. Tomorrow I'll be glued.
Let me tell you a few statistics about it. There's 30 races over the 5 days. And Tuesday starts with 3 big races: the Queen Anne, the King's Stand Stakes, which is the 1,000-meter you rode JJ in.
All the sprints on the
and then the St James Palace, which is a mile.
Yeah.
Okay, and just as far as the St James Palace Stakes concerned, Batash and Blue Point renew the rivalry. I'm going for Blue Point.
No, that's the sprint.
Yeah, the sprint, the King's Stand Stakes.
King's Stand, yeah. Blue Point, he is the right horse. He's a lovely animal. Patash, nothing wrong with that as well. It's going to be a great race, but James, always nice to see. They favour the sides. They come out. They come. You never see them all come down the middle. They split.
Yeah. Well, that's those big fields like the Royal Hunt Cup and those.
I rode in the Royal Hunt Cup. 32 runners. Yeah. Any horse that gives any bit of trouble behind the gates, if it refuses twice, instantly scratched.
Scratch it.
They don't even. There's not even a question. Out.
Well, it takes too long to load that.
Exactly. There's 3 sets of pens across the fence. When I rode in the Royal Hunt, there was 4 scratchings, and I said to the one guy, he came for one ride. He said, give the oak a chance, let him get in the gates. 1, 2, no, out. And there's no arguments. Out. The flag goes up, and it's gone. The 4 guys come there. You know the drive from Newmarket to Royal Ascot, that's 4.5 hours. Yeah. No ride and 4.5 hours back.
All right, well, it's worth the money because I can tell you that the total stakes at Royal Ascot, £7.3 million, okay? The smallest race is £90,000. 8 Group 1s, okay?
Oh, fantastic.
And it's just an amazing, amazing day. The leading jockey, Frankie Dettori, he's ridden more winners than anyone else there, 60.
Yeah, he's over 50. Yeah.
60.
They have
Leading
a band.
train?
They have a band. The jockeys have a band. It's a gold band.
Yeah.
You'll see if you see a jockey wearing the gold band, it means he's leading the
They're
festival.
leading the rider.
And you must know the competition in the jockey room.
Yeah.
When you have to give that gold band to somebody else, well, they have to have a good chirp in the jockey room. Pass it on, and don't think it's coming back. So we have a good laugh.
Who do you think's trained the most winners at Royal Ascot?
Wow, this could be interesting.
Well, it's not the O'Briens.
No, I was going to say
They've had 65.
It's got to be Stouty.
Michael Stout.
Oh,
Michael
the
Stout.
legend.
79 winners at Royal
Stouty,
Ascot.
he's a machine.
Incredible. Well, just the Gold Cup, which is like the race, and you've ridden in the Gold Cup. There's 3 horses here this year that are just unbelievable. Mark Johnston's going to be talking in this interview about his runner. I think it's called the DBX or DBX. Cross Counter, who won the Melbourne Cup. He's running for the team. Charlie Appleby and the boys, and then Stradivarius, who's the defending champion.
And he'll be with the Torion. He'll be the crowd favourite.
He'll be the favourite.
Bookmakers will be hanging on its tail.
Not sure that he can win it. Just as far as a couple of bets for you are concerned, in the Queen Anne, which is the first day, I think get the money on Barney Roy. Barney Roy's the right horse.
It's a 5 furlong, is it?
No, Queen Anne, I think it's a 6 furlong or 7 furlong.
It could be 6.
Barney Roy, 6 or 7 furlong,
Didn't Lady Aurelia win that race, the Queen Anne?
No, did she not win the Queen's Stand? King's Stand.
Could have been the King's Stand.
Yeah, King's Stand Stakes. That's a 5 furlong, the King's Stand. Yeah. We had a horse called Spaniard's Mount who won the King's Stand, stood in South Africa.
That's great.
What else have I got here? The Albany, a Divine Spirit from the Godolphin team, and final song in the Queen Mary for the Godolphin team. And then the Prince of Wales has got Deirdre from Japan coming over. That's going to be some type of race.
Is that filly that won the duty free coming over?
Deirdre.
No, the one the duty free.
Oh no, Heart's Cry. What's her name? Heart's Cry.
Not Heart's Cry. I know which one. I've got it on the tip of my tongue, but she's a machine. I thought she might have just popped over for one of those races.
Well, she might be. I'm not sure because we haven't had the final declarations for the next days. And all I can tell you is Monsieur, who won the Derby last year, he was going to go for the Prince of Wales, and they've taken him out. They're going to run him in the Hardwick, which would be an easier race for him. And obviously they want to win with him. So that's a story. You'll look on with interest.
I can't wait.
I hear that we might be seeing the whole coverage on DSTV.
On DSTV, not RTV.
No, well, like they did the Derby.
That was RTV.
Yeah, well, DSTV on.
DSTV. I was thinking of the other.
Might take the whole coverage from ITV.
That RTV coverage that we had for the Derby was something to, wow. I'd love to be involved in something like that.
Okay, well, we've got, running out of time, we've got a little interview, or it's a nice long interview with Mark Johnston. Very interesting. He'll tell you all about his fancies. Enjoy Royal Ascot. Until next week, look forward to seeing you and have a great week's racing.
So, Mark Johnston, you've got a pretty impressive string heading for Royal Ascot next week. We'll start with possibly the leading contender really in DXB. He's a gorgeous big horse. Saw him on the gallops this morning. He's a very relaxed type. How's he been since winning at Sandown?
Absolutely fine. Everything's gone perfectly. We had to look at whether to run at Sandown or not. He'd obviously qualified already for this £1 million bonus by winning one of the Henry VI, by winning the Sagaro Stakes. And you could have argued that there was no need to go to the Henry II. Was definitely influenced by looking at what we consider to be the good old days of the 3 Gold Cups that we have won, and those horses ran, particularly Double Trigger, always ran in the Sagaro and the Henry II as preparation for the Gold Cup. And we concluded that if we didn't run in the Henry II, he's a big stuffy horse and would have had to be doing some fairly serious work with him at home in the run up to the Gold Cup. So we opted to go there. He won the race. It's absolutely ideal preparation in my mind.
He looks like he's really relished that step up to 2 miles this season. Presumably you're pretty confident he'll see out the extra half mile at Ascot. I
am pretty confident he'll see out the extra half mile at Ascot. We've got to hope that he's even better over the extra half mile. Stradivarius, and it's not a 2-horse race by any means, but Stradivarius alone will take a lot of beating. I've got the utmost respect for a horse like that, but we are the kind of sort of slightly unexposed horse, unexposed at 2.5 miles, and the type of horse that I've said your dream Ascot Gold Cup horse, and that's right. I suppose you one that won the St Leger rather than finish fourth in it is even more of a dream perhaps to be taken to the Ascot Gold Cup. But we were thinking Ascot Gold Cup in the second half of last year, and the preparation, as I've said, as a 4-year-old has gone perfectly.
Good. And it seems quite versatile in terms of ground. It's a miserable day here as we talk, and it will probably stay raining for the rest of this week. You wouldn't be bothered if it came up a bit soft?
No, we wouldn't be bothered if it came up a bit soft. There was plenty talk last year suggesting that he needed the soft. My gut feeling was then, and I think the evidence now leans towards the fact that it was more the test of stamina he needed than the soft ground, and we've seen that when stepped up in trip that he can go on the fast ground as well.
And a horse I know you personally rate very, very highly, he's held in high regard within the yard, Elecam. He was obviously back to form. I think he suffered a stress fracture last season, is that right? And then back to form at Goodwood.
Yes, he ran disappointingly at Salisbury at the end of last year. There was talk that he was displacing his soft palate coming in after the race, which many of them do. It's not an uncommon thing for them to do. So he had wind surgery, which I would say probably, in hindsight, wasn't necessary. But when he was being, let down and prepared for going off for surgery, John Martin, our senior vet, continued to look at him and investigate him, and he found the stress fracture on the pelvis, which is probably the most likely explanation for the disappointing run.
Okay, but obviously, presumably, you're very, very pleased with that comeback run at Goodwood.
Yeah, very, very pleased with that, yes.
And it's probably a fair step up from a listed race at Goodwood to Royal Ascot, but would you rate his chances? He's Wolverton bound, I think, is he?
He's probably Wolverton bound.
And Communique, he beat Defoe at Newmarket this weekend. Defoe obviously reversed that form at Epsom recently, but Defoe's now very short in the betting for the Hardwick. Communique quite a decent price. Do you think that's fair, sort of a reflection of their chances?
No, I haven't looked at the betting. I'm never influenced by the betting. But as you say, it's 1-1 this year, and I don't think you could sort of write it in stone that the Newmarket form was wrong.
Okay, and he usually likes to lead in his races. Any reason those tactics would change?
They're not tactics, as I have repeated, countless times in the last 30 years. They are not tactics. Yeah. I have never in my life told a jockey to go out and try and lead. Okay. And I've had discussions with an owner about this morning with a different horse. I just think that is an impossible thing to say to a jockey, because you don't know how fast the others are going to be going. So we have never told anybody to try and lead on Communicate or any other horse, and I won't be telling the jockey to do that at Ascot.
Right. So it's very much a case of you let the jockeys feel through the race.
It's very much a case of tell them to let the horse feel through the race. That the horse should be going at his own pace where he's comfortable, with no pushing and shoving to get a position and no brakes applied. And so I'm a huge believer in that. I see no point in pushing the head off, and I see no point in riding around with the brakes on. So there is no question of telling him that he's to lead on the horse.
Matterhorn, he did what no other horse could this season and beat Wissahickon on the all-weather, possibly a shock to a lot of people. He's subsequently been second twice. What can you tell us about him?
Wonderfully consistent, really, and reasons to think that some things that could have been different in those two defeats since. I certainly thought that you should never say you could have or should have won. I think you run a race again for most races, despite what people would think, the result's usually the same. But we had legitimate reasons to think that he was unlucky at Chester. For always a small field, he was boxed in. The winner got first run on him, and we thought, had he not been boxed in, that he would have won the race. And next time, over a longer trip, we thought maybe, back at a mile, he might just be that bit better.
Okay. And he's got entries for both Queen Anne and Wolferton. Do you know which way he'd go?
I think he's most likely to go to the Queen Anne.
Right. Excellent. A very interesting horse, Dark Vision, who was obviously superb as a 2-year-old, hasn't really sort of converted that form. Is he sort of changed a lot from 2 into 3 as he's got older? And
No, not a lot. And his runs have not been bad at all. But obviously, he's going to have to find quite a bit to get back on the Group 1 trail. He's in the St James Palace, but at this stage I'd say he's an unlikely runner.
Okay.
The owner has other guns to fire in that race, and probably we're more of a reserve than a real candidate.
Okay, so what would be a target for him?
Well, he's got nothing else at Royal Ascot.
Right. We move on to the King Edward VII Stakes. You've got a few horses in there. You've got Naef Road, Sir Ron Priestley, Living Legend. Which of them might take the chance, and which of them do you fancy?
This is a very, very difficult question, and one of the delays in sitting down with you this morning has been trying to thrash out Royal Ascot entries with Charlie, and he was questioning the wisdom of me putting all of the horses, well, not Living Legend, but Sir Ron Priestley and Naef Road, along with 3 others, into the Queen's Vase. And I was explaining to him that I've won the Queen's Vase more than anybody else in recent years, albeit that it's a bit of a changed race. And it's, for as long as I can remember, it's been common practice for us to have the same horses entered in the King George V handicap, the King Edward VII and the Queen's Vase, which might seem a wide range in conditions, if not distance nowadays, but that's still going to be the case. And so we've got an extremely strong hand in the King George V handicap, as always, but we will keep our options open, and some of those horses could move to Queen's Vase.
Okay.
And or King Edward VII, sorry. Yeah.
Right. And which of those do you probably rate highest?
Well, the simple it's not always entirely down to which we rate highest. It can be down to which the handicapper rates highest as well, in placing them to their best advantage. And the 2 you just mentioned there, Naef Road and Sir Ron Priestley, I think there's £10 difference in the handicap in those 2 horses. So simply based on that, you'd say that at this stage, Sir Ron Priestley's, being the lower rated of the 2 by £10, is more likely to be in the King George V handicap, and perhaps Naef Road, you're talking here about King Edward VII, but I'd say Naef Road is more likely to be Queen's Vase, which is quite a jump up and trip, but a jump up and trip that I think he's crying out for.
Right. I'm probably going to throw you another tricky question now then. The Royal Hunt Cup, that's another race you've got a few entries in. Card Sharp, Masham Star, Vale of Kent. Which of those might line up?
Those that get in will line up.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. We move on now to Baghdad. He won at the Royal Meeting last year. He's going to Ascot again?
Yes, absolutely. That's been the target all along.
And what do you rate? How do you rate his chances?
Well, you can never be. It's very rare to have a banker at Royal Ascot. We were just talking about this in a couple of nights ago when Deirdre and I were at a dinner to discuss the Royal Ascot runners, and we were both trying to think whether Attraction was the only horse that we ever considered a sort of Royal Ascot banker. And certainly from memory, it's the only horse that on both occasions that she went there as a 2 and a 3-year-old where I could say the pressure was really on because I'd have been disappointed with second. Right. That's not usually the case at Royal Ascot. That's a very rare situation to be in at Royal Ascot. So with a horse like Baghdad, he's a winner there last year, fractured his cannonbone in the race last year, and that's why he had such a lot of time afterwards. He's come back clearly as good as ever, and so he is one that we've set out that Royal Ascot was the target, but that doesn't make him a banker, not at that meeting. So for a start, we don't know what the opposition is at this stage, and as I'm forever telling particularly owners, the most important thing about any race is the opposition.
That's right. I suppose you can only beat what you're up against, can't you?
Yes,
so.
or you can only be beaten by what you're up
That's
against.
Right, yeah.
So it's impossible to, with any accuracy, rate a horse's chances before you actually know what you're running against.
We'll just touch on a few that you might have for the Coventry: Minosky, Visionary, and Ifraz.
Yeah. We've seen the entries already for the Coventry. 37 entries in there. It's going to be the usual cavalry charge. Visionary would be the horse that everybody would be looking at if he runs. And Charlie didn't want me to enter him because he said if you enter him you'll want to run him, which is obviously the case. He's top rated in the race. He's the one they would all have to beat. His performance first time out was it was very, very impressive. There's no getting away from it, and so he should really go to the Coventry. He's the horse that everybody's going to have to beat. Monoski, it's a beautiful horse as well, though. Really, really nice horse. He's got that one more race experience. Perhaps not as impressive, but could well be up to winning a Coventry. And you've mentioned Ifraz. It's not impossible that he'd come back to 5 furlongs and go to the Norfolk or the Windsor Castle, particularly if the ground is soft. And you haven't mentioned Maquillon, who I had to talk to the owner this morning and say, they're relatively new to ownership, and to say to them, you can go to Chester on Saturday with a favourites chance, or you can go to Royal Ascot with an outsider's chance. And they've opted to go to Royal Ascot, but I certainly wasn't going to talk them out of it. There's a horse that was a little bit unlucky, or not necessarily unlucky, but could have won at York first time, made no mistakes next time, albeit at Hamilton. So he's a twice raced horse that's been very impressive, albeit at a lower level on his first 2 starts, so deserves to be there.
There are no doubt plenty of horses we haven't mentioned. Obviously, handicaps are races you do particularly well at the Royal Meeting. Who else should we be looking out for?
Oh, who else should we? You didn't mention Misty Grey amongst the 2-year-olds. We've entered him in the Windsor Castle, but he'll almost certainly go to the Norfolk. Summer Moon, we haven't mentioned Summer Moon, defeated last time, but there's no doubt whatsoever he's a good horse. He, again, once we see what the opposition are, he'll be entered in the Queen's Vase and in the King George V handicap. Once we see where his best chance lies, we'll decide where he's going. My gut feeling is his best chance will lie in the King George V handicap.
Okay.
And there'll be others, there's no doubt about that.
Who might be your best chance, do you think, of a Royal Ascot winner?
Yeah. No idea. Visionary if we run him. Visionary, of course, if we run him, he's the best chance. You know, he's the one that everybody else will be fearing.